The good stuff,
Let's talk
Taco.
about MSF.
No, it's not.
Let's talk about all of us. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things Copley does. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Like and subscribe.
What's going on, everybody? Taco Shooter here for another episode of Let's Talk About It. Joining us today are our guests from the MSF Player Voice. Gonna take a moment to go around and introduce everyone. So on camera, up in the top left corner, is none other than Rogue for Marvel Strike Force, also known as Morgan in various other games. And say hi to everybody, Rogue.
Hi, everybody.
So thank you for being here. Really excited to get to know you a little bit better and to get to know everyone. And moving along to the right, we got the man, the myth, the legend that is chronolinq. How are you doing, my friend? And welcome.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And directly below chronolinq is, of course, the phenomenally amazing Sevi. Hello there.
Hey guys.
Hi there. And then EVDOG or EVDOG, depending on what you want to call him, but it apparently is EVDOG as we found out today. So
Hi, everyone.
all right, so thank you for joining us, everybody. Like I said, really excited to get to know y'all and go sort of what got us to this point and what y'all are doing with the Marvel Strike Force Player Voice. So it was brought to my attention that this existed, I guess a couple weeks before it was rolled out to the community. EVDOG had reached out and was sort of chatting with folks. And initially, I was sort of cautious with really even talking in the server because I wasn't sure like what direction it was going. Because there's been a lot of Marvel Strike Force movements over the years, and at least in my opinion and my perspective is the majority of them have been sort of let's go nuclear as opposed to let's try to fix stuff. And so nuclear is always an option, but it's always dangerous for that to be the first option. So I've been really happy with the direction that this movement has been going. And just want to talk about that a little bit. So what's different about this movement versus past movements in y'all's opinion? Sevi, I think you're sort of taking the lead on this one.
By default, because Ev has his baby with him, yes. Which I found out 10 minutes ago.
And his breastfeeding.
Yes.
So I feel like our movement is a little bit different in that, it's not just whales only, krakens only, or a specific section of the player community.
Mm-hmm.
We're really trying to include everyone and have their voice heard. And while spending a strike is not off the table, we recognize that is incredibly difficult to do and make sure that everybody participates into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying some more non-aggressive moves first. We have a nice line of communication with our dev contacts. We're looking to do some name changes in-game to kind of show unity and that the players really are united behind this whole movement. And if need be, then we'll start moving up into more aggressive phases before we hit the full nuclear, everybody needs to do a spend strike type situation.
Yeah. And now, so you guys have sort of taken on the face, as you guys have sort of taken on the face of the movement, with you all doing a lot of the communication with the devs and trying to gather together the voices of so many different players. Can you all real quick before we move on tell everybody a little bit about yourselves and where you all are in the game? chronolinq, we'll start with you on that one.
Sure. So I've been playing Marvel Strike Force. I think I started about a month after launch, global launch.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been here for a while. I actually quit the game a couple months in, and it was supposed to be for good. And then I got bored, so here we are.
And do you what do you consider yourself? Are you a Kraken? Are you a whale? Are you a cheap to play, free to play?
I definitely so I have spent on this game. I
Mm-hmm.
don't spend regularly though, so I guess I'm cheap to play. But I basically play the game as if I'm free to play.
Okay, all right. And Rogue, what about you?
I've been playing for about 4 years now, and I'm one of the alliance leaders in Pants of Hulk. But my group, Huggies of Hulk, is actually sort of the lightest spenders or the more casual of the hardcore in the entire cluster. So I would say I'm a dolphin. My account's about 30 million, up there,
Yeah.
but nothing crazy.
Okay. And Sevi, what about you?
So I actually picked up at MSF as a way to move on from GOTC.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been playing for approximately 1,200 days. I'm about 35, 36 million. So I would say that I am a whale
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a whale. But I just going to say that. I also help run WPF. I am their collective president. And prior to moving over to WPF, I was with another cluster, 421 Syndicate, and one of the leaders over there, too.
Nice. And EVDOG.
Well, I have been playing the game since launch, actually.
Uh-huh.
And I actually started off in sort of a free to play manner, not quite free to play, but I was in a how things are come full circle are very small. I was in a really small, very active cluster with chronolinq called TMC. And I think I played in that cluster for about 2 years as leader of TMC Fear, and Chrono was leader of TMC Immortals. And then once Fear decided that, but we were still competitive. We were free to play, but competitive. Then there came a point where the players in that alliance just wanted to go casual, and I moved up to playing with Mutiny, which is one of the Kraken alliances, and it's a whole different gameplay,
Okay.
So I've been in Mutiny for the last 2 years as leader.
All right. So thank y'all for sharing. Like I said, just want people to know that this is even in this group of players that are representing the MSF Player Voice. It's a pretty wide range. So from cheap to play to full blown Kraken. It's sort of all over the place. And then with what is the overall expectation of the movement? Like, what do y'all envision the end game for the MSF Player Voice?
Rogue, you want to take that one?
Sure. I think that we want to establish a dialogue with Scopely and the devs so that we can sort of re-enthuse the base and make the game enjoyable and retain our community. I think we've all noticed that some really long-time dedicated players who've hung in there for years have all of a sudden started quitting. So we're really doing a deep dive, taking a look and saying, what are those frustration points that are making people break? How can we go and communicate to Scopely that these points at least need to be dialed back? We need to have a back and forth. We're gathering this feedback and giving it to them for free, right? So that hopefully we can stop this pattern of longtime players, members of the community in the base, just being pushed to a breaking point where they feel like they're being squeezed too hard again and again.
Yeah. And so with that, the trying to get the voice of all of the players is so incredibly difficult, and because there's a lot of noise when you're trying to get so many when you're trying to consolidate so many voices into specific actionable items, right? So the decision to bring it to Discord and to make a public Discord where everyone could share everything, when that was first brought up, I personally was terrified. And I messaged EVDOG. I was like, privately, because as soon as it started happening, all I could envision was just if they don't give us what we want tomorrow, we strike. And I'm like, oh, this is just not, this is terrifying, because you've got a very loud, aggressive minority that can sort of take over a conversation. And that was my fear. And that's, I'll push this one to EVDOG because that's who I DM'd about it. And he was still confident that could be tempered. And so I just want you to sort of talk about that a little bit, the tempering of those extremely loud voices.
Well, it was something that we were prepared for, and we knew would happen. And I mean, I just wanted to say, I'm glad you brought that up, because even with the preparation, we're still evolving with how to deal with it. But it was always our intention to gather those voices and just and kind of just organize the voices into one focused platform.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew it was going to be tough, because, as you said, not only are there voices, but I think literally everybody that comes into the server has their own idea of exactly what's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so it's like 5,000 different ideas of this is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But
yeah, 5,000 different people saying this is the only thing that's wrong, and they're all different.
Right. So, but we have an amazing management team. That's what, as you see here, and we're literally. I think it's almost like a second job right now for everyone, where we're literally taking the information.
Mm-hmm.
At it, looking at better ways to focus the conversations, looking at trying to put our moderators in places that we can, pinpoint. And we still also keep a channel or two for people to just yell into the void, because we realize sometimes people just want to come to yell.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it that actually? I apologize. I wish I would have asked this question at the beginning. What was the moment that got this ball rolling? That sort of put this together, or that the group of you decided, it's time. This needs to happen. Was there a singular moment, or were there a handful of things that made you just really want to dive into this?
Well, for me, I'll just go really quickly first. It was the lead up to Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, in my little circle, I had about 80% of the people saying, well, we're just playing until Apocalypse comes, and we'll see what happens then. And if it's not good, we'll leave. So we saw the writing on the wall, and we figured, let's get organized now and be prepared for what was going to come after that. We had no idea that Scopely was going to botch it that bad, but we did know that regardless, there was going to be a moment where things were either going to get better or really, really bad.
Yeah, and so what are the primary and secondary focuses that you're looking at? So what are your so essentially what are your long term and short term goals?
Ev, you want to
Sevi?
handle this one?
Yeah, you could go, Sam.
So our primary goals right now, we already have one letter that we have sent over to the devs that has gotten some response. If you're in the server, you can see where they did respond to us that they're working on the items. And Ev and I have talked to the contacts that we have, and they've assured us that they are still continuing to work on it. It's something that they are taking very seriously. We got the raid keys fixed. I mean, we're still waiting on some more details, but essentially, they've taken that part of our letter and said, yeah, we're going to work on this right now. They're working on more communication, obviously, with the Quicksilver blog that just came out. There's not a ton of information in that, so I think that's a point that we're going to have to continue to work on them. But those are our primary focuses right now. For our secondary, we're still working on condensing all of the information that we are getting from the various voices in the server. We're trying to figure out specifically, like, here are some concerns for free to play, here are our concerns for some of our whales and bigger spenders. Like, how can we put together letters that address both sides of the equation? Because not necessarily their aims are exactly the same. And additionally, we want to make sure that this movement is ongoing and self-sustaining. People have been throwing around like players union, and myself, I said that last time we were on an interview. And while the idea is good, we mostly want to make sure that Scopely continues to listen to the players, because we don't want to do all of this work and have them change for a little bit and then it goes right back to outrage cycle. Like that.
Yeah.
That's not where we want to be. We don't want to continue to be reactive. We want to be proactive.
Yeah, and I mean, so for me in particular, it's always you don't want to become a polarizing force, and I feel like if you were to label the group as a union, that's what happens. And because you've got some people that are just massively pro-union and others that are very, very much against unionization. Like, unions are definitely something that were a huge benefit to this this country and the world in general. In very specific areas, but like I said, it's a very polarizing term. So when y'all are setting these the goals, I glanced over to chat and I saw a question that piqued my interest, and the question was, how would you measure as a sign of success with this movement? And for goal setting in general, if you've ever been in any corporation, you're accustomed to setting SMART goals, which is SMART's an acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic or relevant, and timely. So how are you measuring the success of the movement?
So it's basically always going to be based on the level of communication that we have with the devs. Like, what we want to see in the end is an ongoing ability for the players to have a voice in what's going to happen in the game before it happens. As Sevi said, not in a reactionary way where they did this and now we're mad and now we're only reacting. So we've been kicking to the devs a few ideas in the place of and to the player base, like a player council or a player rep that we can that we would maybe nominate through the Discord to deal with the devs on an ongoing basis. As well as just the movement itself is just supposed to be a balancing force, because Scopely, in our eyes, they're a corporation, they're a business. They have one goal, and that is to make money. And there needs to be a balancing force that's there to deal with the player experience, because really they have no that's not part of their goal. Their goal is just to make money. So, as I said, we're hoping that the movement itself starts to be a balancing movement against what Scopely normally does.
Okay. And then as far as yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to add that, one thing we're concerned with is tracking each of these issues that
Yeah.
we addressed with them in that initial letter.
Yeah.
For example, we brought up the RAID keys auto launch feature that was promised in the roadmap, maybe partially as a response to us asking for that. But, we're going to be following up and trying to keep them accountable. Like, a lot of people have questions. How is this auto launcher going to be implemented? Exactly what does it do? When is it coming? Where is it on their priority list? So those are the things we're looking to continue, communicating with them about as we add more concerns that we're gathering from the community. And we're continually refining our process to try and, focus the discussion amongst 5,000 people and get, what are really the topics here that players are most concerned with.
That's wonderful. So we've talked about the specific and measurable, and then attainable and realistic. The last part of that is the last part of the goal setting process, though, is timely, and I feel like a lot of times, for example, there will be a Teal War Orb coming out soon. That was a year ago, right? I think.
Yeah.
So so as far as that measuring process, and it's sort of, and like everybody sort of forgot that it was a year ago until it was like 8 months in, and then it was like, well, what happened to this? And so sort of keeping up with the things that are promised to us, and ensuring that they're being focused on, because I get that it's difficult to put on hold everything that you're working on with a game, because the developers are not working on stuff for tomorrow. They're working on stuff for 2-3 months down the line, right? So I mean, I'm sure they've got a small team that's able to dive into current issues, bugs, and things of that nature, especially if they're impacting the finances of the game. But ensuring that there's continued focus and things aren't being lost, because I feel like the majority of the roadmaps that we've seen, a lot of that information just gets completely lost. And now, at the same time, anytime we've gotten a response, like the blog a couple weeks ago, in my opinion, was really, really well put together as far as the path forward for what they were looking to do. And the initial letter that y'all sent out played a lot into that, at least in based on what I saw of the letter when it came out, and what the blog was. And of course, there was no reference to the MSF Player Voice at the time, which didn't really have a name either. It was just sort of group of people said things. So well, yeah, so that's what I just wanted to sort of focus on. Like, what are y'all doing for that timeliness of the goals that you've put out there for Scopely to try to get to?
I do appreciate you bringing that up. It's a little hard to keep focused with a baby in your hand, but thanks for reminding me. But we definitely are tracking that. That is a major part of what we're doing. We want to track what their responses are, and we want to be able to hold them accountable for what they say, the dates that they say, the timing that they have, and that's really why we need the community behind us, because we can't keep them accountable without the community behind us.
Yeah.
So we actually have a living document in the server where it's tracking all their responses, the dates of their responses, and what they said, and we also track when we plan to go back to, you know, if this has gone 2 weeks over when they said they would respond,
Hmm.
we will readdress it. So
Okay.
we do have those things in place.
All right.
One thing that
Wonderful.
we do have to keep in mind, though, is that trying to affect change in a corporation, it is not overnight. This is
Correct.
going to be a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a little bit of time. So we're hoping that people can understand that and not get frustrated when, you know, we've been doing this for 2 weeks publicly and there's no immediate change right now.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and you know that's why I brought up sort of the process in the development of any game or in anything that you're doing. If you're looking for instantaneous change, it's not a realistic expectation, and that goes back to why so many corporations use those the SMART goal setting process because again the R is realistic or relevant. Like it can't be everything has to be fixed by tomorrow or we riot. Like that's all right. Well, so you're gonna riot. Like that's you're setting yourself up for riot. You're defining your riot. You're not setting yourself up for success and actually getting anything done. So as far as the community involvement that you spoke about, what more can the community do? What other parts of the community can you get in touch with? I know you did post something on Reddit. You've got Discord. Have y'all put together like a Facebook account or any other platform to try and engage as many people as you can? Because Discord is a small niche group of the community.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I've always tried to stress to people about most mobile games is most people that play mobile games don't really know there's a problem. Because the majority of people aren't on Twitch, they're not on YouTube. They play the game when they have a break at work. Like that's what they're doing. So what are you doing to try to engage as many different people as possible?
So we've brought in a few volunteers to help manage our social media. We have a Reddit account, a Facebook account, Instagram, and I believe they have also made a Twitter. We've got other people who have volunteered to do graphics work for us, to help with advertising flyers and kind of just make the server look a little bit more friendly.
Uh-huh.
But we're working on that additional reach out. We also have a section for the content creators, which, as you know, you're part of that, where we've reached out to all content creators, large and small, both on Twitch and those who do video streams as well, to kind of give us and the community their own personal opinion of what's going on with this movement. We have provided some information about what we're doing, but we have also asked all of our content creators that are in the server to make their own content in their own voice with their own opinion, as long as it is factual and fairly represented. That's part of our main reach out there too.
Mm-hmm.
I think also Sevi had mentioned that we were going to do some messaging on the leaderboards as well, and that was mainly also to reach out to a lot of the community that have no idea that we exist or that there is a problem. We felt that the leaderboards were the most visible community tool that we could use. So that was speaking directly to what you said. As you said, Discord
Yeah.
crowd and the Twitch crowd is a very small, not a very small percentage, but a smaller percentage of the of the community than people think. And we're hoping that our as you guys will see it in a couple weeks, some of our leaderboard messages will reach out to some people, some other parts of the community that
Yeah.
have yet to become involved.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I'm curious how each of you individually view the game itself as a whole, like the sort of the state of the game from each of your individual perspectives. So for me, I'll start off so you have an idea of where I'm going with this. So for me, I think the gameplay itself is the best it's been in the 4 years I've played the game, and that's from the standpoint of Cosmic Crucible's just stupid amounts of fun. War has gotten significantly better. New raids, the scourges were an interesting twist on things. The gameplay itself has been very positive in my eyes. Now, where I've had significant issues is the quality control issues are just abysmal. Just complete trash, from offers being wrong to events not working correctly, to the well stones, as I think Mobile Gamer termed them, as opposed to milestone events where you basically had to spend stupid amounts of money for you to do it individually, and then the alliance well stones, where if you didn't spend stupid amounts of money for your alliance, you also didn't get to participate, which led to a lot of alliances breaking up and not necessarily breaking up, but a lot of the top players from a lot of alliances going off to other alliances where they felt they more fit in financially. So there's definitely a lot of issues from a quality control standpoint, and there's a lot of issues from just a greediness, right? Like, I mean, it's one thing to make money, but it's a whole other thing to do it at the expense of your player base, and that's sort of what I feel is happening, and what's driven a lot of people crazy here. Chrono, again, sort of starting with you on this one. Where are you with state of the game?
Yeah. So I think I share a lot of the same opinions as you. Like, I think the game itself is actually pretty fun. There's a lot of engaging game modes. The community aspect, I think, is one that we all really enjoy. Hanging out with people, playing with other players. I would say, as a smaller spender, the offers don't bother me as much because I'm not buying as many of them, and I'm not evaluating their value to me. So I do see, a lot of issues with offers and like the actual value of them. But if I don't see the value, I won't buy them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the things that concern me the most are kind of the alliance management issues. So the gap between managing, especially a hardcore alliance, and being just a player is still wider than I would like it to be. And if it gets closer to me being just a normal player as, a captain, that would be awesome.
Awesome. Rogue, what about you?
Looking at some of the improvements to the core game loop, I agree with you that Scourges are more popular than the old legendary events, both with the community and me personally. I agree that Cosmic Crucible is more engaging than RTA. That's an easy win, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like they always have to do one feature that just poisons the well on that. Yeah. For example, with the Scourges, making people upgrade minions. With Cosmic Crucible, deciding that Eternals count as Tangled Web.
Make believe.
Sort of the Masters of Evil.
They went the make believe route.
Yeah, and it's like they take 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Yeah.
And so, and those breaking points are just driving people out the door. And also, most people consider Blitz sort of a low quality screen time activity, right? And the aggressiveness in pushing Blitz rotations is, going through the roof, when we're seeing that people actually prefer sort of what we might call dark dimension or pocket dimension style content.
Yeah.
So why not keep rolling with that, you know?
Yeah, no. I you know, I'm glad you brought that up about the Cosmic Crucible, the Eternal thing. So, as much as I love doing Cosmic Crucible, every Monday we do this community Crucible thing on Twitch where me and a bunch of other content creators go through and do all of our Crucible battles together, and we'll bring in a few people that are in chat to also do it, especially if there's not very many of us. It's a lot of fun, and people are really enjoying it. But boy, the room 6, like, you can only put one Wakanda here or else, like, that feels bad, and that's like one of the most fun teams to play with. Wakanda's a lot of fun to actually use in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most recent thing of the Tangled Web in Room 5 and the let's pretend that Eternals are also Tangled Web if they're on defense. It pretty much says that. Exactly. And it reminded me of when I used to get G.I. Joes in the 80s. I'd get my G.I. Joes and I'd rip them in half, and then I'd get a rubber band and put two different halves together. And that's what I think of. But it wasn't my choice of what two characters I put together, and that made me mad.
Right, it feels lazy, and it's immersion breaking for people who like the Marvel IP. Like, wear the Tangled Web costumes for Cersei and Icarus, you know?
Yeah, wear the costumes.
I personally think that those moves are always economically driven. I believe that they thought that was going to be a team that nothing could beat, and they could sell the answer to it. I couldn't see another reason why they absolutely force you to put one team where we have 50 teams, and we have to put one team here.
Yeah. Yeah, these two random characters for today and today only, folks, for the next 6 months. All right, EVDOG, where are you at? Where's your opinion on the state of the game?
Well, from where I sit, I think where I'm at with Mutiny, the community that you would say, I guess, hardcore spenders. I think they've been affected the most. And in terms of competition, there is none anymore, because everybody's left the game at the top end because of all the pricing, the costs, the bugs, the paying for characters that don't end up being Apex. Somebody spends, but there's people in my alliance that's probably spent $50,000 on APOC, and even after his second upgrade, it's still not what you would expect if you paid that much. I mean, like, I think Doom was more impactful. Ultron was more impactful. I can't imagine how they missed the mark so badly, But yeah, so we're not even really getting a chance to really enjoy the gameplay, even though I do agree that the actual gameplay is better. The things that you get to do is better, but the competition at the top has kind of evaporated. This time last year, there were probably, 10 really good hardcore alliances, and maybe there's about 3 or 4 now left.
Yeah. There's been a lot of turnover, a lot of change, for sure. Sevi, how about you?
So I share a lot of the same feelings as Rogue as far as like some of the game modes that they've put in place. I really enjoy Pocket Dimension. I don't particularly like that they're forcing me to build certain characters for it. I have a wide enough roster that it's okay for me, but other people in my alliance struggle. I miss the agency that we had over a lot of our roster and the theory crafting that was happening before. I feel like this new direction that they've taken us in has really pulled away from that, and that was one of the great things about the game previously.
Yeah.
You know, I like Cosmic Crucible to an extent. Like, it was great the first season, and then I don't know what happened this season. They got greedy, but you know, Masters of Evil and everyone having a 7 yellow star spider weaver has apparently blown up their thought. Like, that room is just not fun anymore, and Eternals are not Tangled Web. It just doesn't make sense. But one thing that I do see a lot of, being that I primarily do a lot of recruiting for WPF and my prior cluster, is that there's a lot of burnout in the game too, not just with regular player base, but also in the alliance management. You know, like people needing to replace players who are leaving, the raid key issues. Like, it's a lot. Running another alliance is a lot of work. You know, this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a game, and I feel like Scopely doesn't understand that there's quality of life improvements that need to happen in order to kind of take that burden off of people and make the game more enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I want to actually add with what Sevi said, because I think Chrono said it best when he said that leaders are probably the most important resource in this game, and they're evaporating fast.
Yeah.
Like, whole alliances tend to just go just because there's nobody wants to lead it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. The you know, I mean, that was you know, I think there was, you know, recently Super Troopers broke up, and you know, I joke around, I give Dorky a lot of flack, but I love him to death. There was a bunch of guys in Super Troopers that I was friends with, and at the end of the day, like, I think there was only like 1 or 2 of them that actually quit, but it was primarily the leader quitting and just nobody wanted to take on that role was the main separation issue there. At least that's my understanding. And that's you know, it sucks to be a leader in alliances. In my opinion, there's so much work to be done, especially at the top end, the most competitive alliances out there. The coordination is just massively huge to really be successful. It's essentially a second full-time job, and that's on top of your third full-time job because of the game itself. So between actual work, gameplay, and the alliance, you know, you're working 120 hours a week. That's tough. That's tough. All right, so we're coming down to the end of this conversation, and I really want to thank you all for your time, and thank you all for coming on to be with me today. Before we say goodbye to y'all, I do want to also bring up we recently lost one of the top players in the game. Tadano Mac stepped away. You know, biggest TCP in the game for quite a while now, and not going to focus on the leaving, but I do want to focus on the last few words that he said in his message as he sort of signed off. And today, my understanding is his last day playing the game. He didn't quit when he sent the message out, folks, because he didn't want to shit on his alliance.
Exactly.
Like, so for those of you going, oh, he's still playing, like, he didn't unlock. You know, he didn't unlock Iron Man World War II. Didn't buy that character. That his account still is one character short as he signs out today, his last day. So again, he put a statement out, and the last thing he said was, a lot of people hated me, but I loved and respected the people who played the same game, and I love the game. If I was a native speaker, I would have been able to interact more with everyone and enjoy this game more, which makes me sad. It was a great 4 years. Thank you very much. Sorry for the weird English. Goodbye, MSF. And again, this wasn't typed in English. This was typed with a translator.
Mm-hmm.
And I want all of you out there on Twitch and anybody watching this on YouTube to think about that. The amount of hate that was sent his way in Reddit, in YouTube comments, on Twitch, in Facebook comments, like just for spending money on a hobby that he loved to play. Like, just because people have access to things that others don't doesn't make them any more or less human. And I'm a big fan of promoting mental health as much as possible. And I'm not saying that less hate would have kept him here, but he absolutely got attacked all the time without ever saying a word. And for those of you that did that attacking, I hope y'all take a moment to self-reflect and look for a way to better voice your own frustrations and to not look to blame people that have nothing to do with you and what you're going through. Keep your focus on the game. Keep your focus on your alliance. Keep your focus on your friends and your family and those that you love. And just don't be bullies. Cyberbullying's not cool. Live person bullying is not cool. And you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what can make or break somebody's day. And just be better. That should be the goal for all of us. Every day I hope to be better than I was yesterday. Hope you guys do too. All right. So, thank you all again. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, week, and evening. I'm going to put all of your links for Discord and socials in the little details section below the YouTube screen. But that's it. We're closing off. Peace and love. Remember that you are pretty, you are smart, and you are special. I love you all very, very much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Taco. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Epic closing transition.
It's really true about what you said about Tadano. I mean, he was so positive.